And I jumped out of the way. I said, oh, my God, this plane's going to crash.
This thing came right across, north to south.
Incidentally, I was a private pilot, so I have some familiarity with the airspace.
It glided over my house, and there was absolutely no noise.
What I thought to be a kind of a boomerang shape.
Myself, my God, that's a wingspan. I've never seen anything like that.
They were reported by at least one commercial airline pilot.
It was humongous, that's all I can say.
It passed right in front of us, just about right above eye's length.
I don't hear anything, do you?
No, I don't hear anything. What in the hell is that?
It's wide.
I came out second after Monica, and I remember looking at it. It was coming over the mountain, and it was like almost as wide as one of the humps. And it was very low.
It's coming across the sky, and as it's moving, it's blocking and unblocking the stars. There's actually a shape.
It was more like a boomerang than like a straight V, and then the lights were spaced pretty evenly.
It was actually 5 lights that were a V, 1 in front and 2 on each side, and it was perfect. It was a perfect triangle.
If you can imagine something the size of Camelback Mountain floating down Scottsdale Road, you have some idea of the intensity of this thing.
The object we saw, if we opened up a newspaper, you could not block out the object that we saw.
People say, Mike, now you saw a B-2 bomber. My response was, we could land all 40 of our B-2 bombers on the wing of that craft.
You know, it's one of the biggest things I've ever seen that moved like that. I mean, it was just enormous.
It happened last night, and eyewitnesses who saw it say it's like nothing they've ever seen before.
I don't know if it was as big as an aircraft carrier. It might have been. Because I've never seen an aircraft carrier fly.
It barely missed that mountain.
Really?
Yeah, came floating over the mountain.
So had you not looked up, you wouldn't have known it was
No,
there?
my daughter, it was 8:30 at night. My daughter was coming over here, and she ran in and said, Mom, you have got to see this. So we all...
There was such an uproar about what people described seeing that we also did a story about it back in 1997.
The first report of a strange flying object came at about 8:20 that night from a former police officer in Paulden, Arizona. Over the next 40 minutes, people gave similar reports of an object along a 200-mile route south to Phoenix and Tucson.
It was gunmetal black. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't invisible. It was more of a dull, bluish black color.
And we both just stayed there and looked at it for a couple minutes, and it was completely silent.
When you look down the street on a hot day in Phoenix, above the street's like it's really wavy, and you see everything kind of distorted, and that's what it looked like up inside the middle of the craft.
It was just gliding, and then it stopped, and then it, like, the sides retracted a little, and then it was gone.
Just went.
Acceleration to deceleration, it was no noise the whole time.
And not a sound.
Explanations have been tossed about that there were flares, that there were planes flying in formation. But Mark and Robin, we checked with the FAA today, we checked with Sky Harbor, and we checked with Luke Air Force Base, and there's been no official explanation of those strange bright lights last night.
Oh, I'm going to order a whole, investigation of this through DPS. We're going to make all the necessary inquiries, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to find out if it was a UFO.
I'm Patty Kirkpatrick. Remember those mysterious lights in the sky? Well, the governor says there are new leads in the case. Good evening, Arizona. The governor is holding a news conference on the lights in the sky over Phoenix in March. Let's listen in.
And now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party. Don't get him too close to me, please. It's, Now, this just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious.
I think what really irritated me was the joke the governor pulled with the Martian. I just didn't have time for that kind of stuff.
He was just dismissing everything that these people had seen and said, just like we're all Looney Tunes.
And I know what I saw, and that's not what you're telling me what I saw. I didn't see flares. I didn't see A-10 Warthog. So how about we work together and try to figure out what this thing is?
So when you hear someone says they saw a UFO, you think they're crazy?
Yes, I think they're crazy, yes.
What puzzles me is why people laugh at the subject of UFOs, but when the laughter stops, everyone secretly wants to know, are they real?
You see that now? See a big one? See it going? Do you see it?
With this.
I don't know if I want to know if UFOs are real, because then that raises a lot of other issues. Who are they? Why are they here? Are they going to hurt me? Do they have chocolate?
When I told my father I wanted to make a documentary about UFOs, he said I was crazy. In fact, my whole family did. And 95% of the time, this stuff is crazy. But the remaining 5%, that is what keeps me going.
This man in the saucer, can you describe him?
What year was this taken, do you know? I'm James Fox, and I've been curious about UFOs for a long time.
And if you look down at the very bottom, there's the little disc.
Very curious. Look at that. Evidently, the Air Force is curious too.
In pursuit of this obligation,
And in 1952, they admitted it.
we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports. There have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
All blacked out?
Wonder what was under there.
With the help of investigative reporter Leslie Kane, I decided to put together some of the best witnesses from around the world for this film.
Almost 10 years after the termination of Project Blue Book.
The cases and photographs you are about to see represent some of the best evidence that UFOs are real.
Dogs of unknown origin, what were they after?
The beam of light that came down at our feet.
This James?
Beams were going down into the WSA.
Hey, we are all in the limo and we're on.
The operator in the tower would verify that, and several of us.
So they were looking for fissile material.
I hear the same question over and over. If UFOs are real, then surely someone in the know would be talking.
So what time are we actually going on the air? Or
I think 6 o'clock, you guys.
Hey, Chris.
All signed individually?
Yes, we need everything signed.
Good evening. A historic occasion will take place in Washington on Monday. Former high-level government employees, military officials, and pilots from all over the world will come together. They'll discuss their own UFO sightings and encounters, and they'll do it at the National Press Club in the nation's capital. This group has gathered together to call on the United States government to take an active role in investigating cases involving unidentified flying objects. James Fox, will you be there Monday too?
Absolutely, yes. To establish the fact that the phenomenon is real and it's happening worldwide.
Fife, are we now saying that the United States is taking this seriously, or is this just an event?
I think the United States is taking it seriously, and they need to. It's long overdue.
And you're going to moderate it, right?
I'm going to moderate it. I'm Fife Symington. In 1997, during my second term as governor of Arizona, I saw something that defied logic and challenged my reality.
Before this event, I met with the governor at his home to find out why he ridiculed the sighting.
We were in the middle of investigating it and just couldn't get any answers. Paralleling that activity was this almost hysterical environment that was building, the hysteria.
The governor told me what was actually going on behind the scenes.
And we called Luke Air Force Base, and we called the FAA, and I called various touch base with people. I called my general at the National Guard. Nobody had an explanation. People just sort of said, well, we just don't know what it is.
Phoenix Councilwoman Frances Barwood was one of the only elected representatives willing to push for an investigation.
I would have thought that they would have wanted to do an investigation, but apparently they would rather ignore it. I don't know why.
At Barwood's request, Senator John McCain looked into the matter personally.
We asked the Air Force to look into it, and this was the first response that we've gotten. We're going to go back and ask them to look at it again.
Senator McCain wrote letters to both the National Archives and the Air Force. Both claimed not to have jurisdiction over such matters.
I was kind of surprised at that response. But there are people who said they saw things, and whenever that happens, they deserve at least an investigation, it seems to me.
The Air Force explanation eventually provided to Senator McCain was military flares dropped from A-10 Warthogs between 9:30 and 10 p.m.
Oh my God!
I hit pay dirt, finally.